Chapter 5, University of Santo Tomas. After graduating with the highest honors from Ateneo, Rizal had to go to the University of Santo Tomas for higher studies. In April 1877, Rizal, who was only 16 years old, then enrolled at the UST, taking the course on philosophy and letters because he was still uncertain as to what course he would take up, and his father liked the course as well. While studying at the UST, he also took up vocational course in surveying and excelled in all subjects. At the age of 17, he passed the final examination, but could not be granted the title because of being underage. But the title was issued to him on November 25, 1881. First love. While Jose Rizal was at the UST taking his medical studies, he experienced his first love. There were many loves in the course of Rizal's life, for he was very susceptible to this emotion, although he was very cautious and correct, not only as a general principle, but also because he was aware of the possible consequences of his acts. He never sacrificed his studies for his feelings. Invariably, he finished his tasks first. On Sundays, he used to go to the company of a friend to Trozo, Manila, where his grandmother lived. One day, he met a young girl of 14 named Segunda Katigbak, who turned out to be the sister of his friend. He fell in love with her, but it turned out that she was already engaged. He found out later that Segunda went to the same college where a sister of his stayed as a boarder. The two friends went together to visit their sisters, who became friends, although Rizal tried to keep away indifference to her being engaged to Manuel Luz. The grace of Segunda had captivated him. Rizal made a pencil sketch of her. She, in turn, embroidered a rose on his hat band. The affair progressed without any pressure on the part of Jose. She broke up with her fiancé and they continued seeing each other under very proper circumstances. Before Christmas vacation that year, the two had a last meeting during which Jose did not propose. They left separately within the next 2 days with the agreement that they would see each other when Segunda passed Calamba. But when her coach crossed the town, he just lifted his hat. She responded with a smile, waving her handkerchief. But the timid Rizal did not approach her. Because of this, indecision and timidity characterized his conduct all his life. Rizal as a student of medicine. When Jose returned to Calamba in 1878 for Christmas vacation, Doña Teodora, her eyes suffering from some defect, could hardly recognize him. At the moment, no diagnosis could be made for there was no ophthalmologist in Calamba or in neighboring towns. Later, it was found out that that the disturbance was due to cataract, but the classification of the cataract could not be ascertained. Rizal thought that she might go blind. This circumstance led him to shift the orientation of his studies. Medicine would not only enable him to cure his mother's illness, but he also considered it as a noble profession which he could use to serve his countrymen. At the start of the school year of 1878 to 1879, he registered at the College of Medicine at the UST, somewhat against his natural inclination. This, however, did not become the cause of his wholehearted studies. This did not become the cause for his wholehearted studies. At the same time, he did not lose contact with the Jesuits, for they founded a literary academy, of which he was the president. With his great versatility, he still had time to write poetry, to paint, to sculpt, and to indulge in courtships prompted by his easy inclination to love. Leonor Rivera. During the year 1879, the gallant lover Rizal visited many ladies in Manila society without seriously committing himself to anyone. He liked good conversation, and because of his culture and intelligence, his language was colorful and poetic, sometimes spiced with irony. But he never entered into any significant binding compromises. One afternoon, he went to visit his uncle Antonio Rivera, who had a boarding house in Manila. He was accompanied by Pasiano, his inseparable brother. It was decided that he would stay in a house as a boarder. There, he met his cousin, Leonor, daughter of Antonio, a young girl of 13, typical of Oriental girls. She had a very fair skin and light brown hair, a very pleasing voice, and could carry an interesting conversation. Antonio, in his double role of uncle and possible father in law of Jose, played an important part when he favored in 1882 the departure of his nephew to or Europe. A poet is born to the people. In 1879, the Liceo Artístico Literario de Manila held two contests, one for the Peninsulares and another for the natives. Rizal decided to submit a poem entitled A la Juventud Filipina. It won first prize, consisting of a silver pen. The poem cannot claim excellence, but it is significant in that it was the first public expression of patriotism of Rizal. It urges the Filipino youth to hold its head high, for it is the fair hope of my motherland. On its third year, 1880 to 1881, the Liceo, in commemoration of the death anniversary of Cervantes, held a contest, this time without discrimination. Rizal entered the contest and submitted a piece entitled El Consejo de los Dioses. He was 18 years old. In spite of the fact that the board of judges was composed of peninsulares and that there were 14 contestants, among them friars, journalists, writers, and professors, Rizal got the first prize, consisting of a gold ring with the bust of Cervantes carved in cameo on top. The judges justified their decision with the following declaration. The idea and message are of great originality, besides the fact that it excels in its entirely in style, an admirable wealth of details, delicacy of thought, and figure of speech, according to Bantug and Ventura, 1997. El Consejo de los Dioses is a play in poetic prose which narrates the meeting of the gods at Mount Olympus. presided over by Jupiter to choose the most important work of universal literature. The dialogue is very interesting and gives evidence to the literary of mythological culture of Rizal. After a heated debate, Jupiter, advised by Justice, decides that Homer, Virgil, and Cervantes are of equal excellence. Rizal exalted Cervantes and Hispanism. During Christmas vacation of 1881, Rizal received a letter in Calamba from Leonor Rivera with the signature she usually used, Taimis. She complained of Rizal's failure to write. His subsequent conduct indicates, however, that Rizal's love for her had not diminished at all. Jose Rizal was unhappy of his medical studies at the UST. He was unhappy at this Dominican institution because of Dominican professors were hostile to him. Filipino students were racially discriminated and their method of instruction was obsolete and repressive. Because of this, Rizal failed to win high scholastic honors. In the first year of the philosophy course, Rizal got an excellent rating but not impressive in the 4 years of his medical course. After finishing the fourth year of his medical course, Rizal decided to study in Spain.